Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are not new, if you've been here before. For those of you that are new on this channel, I like to talk about horror movies, true crime, the true crime stories that inspired horror movies, and also paranormal stuff, culty stuff, I don't know, just, the weird, mysterious type of stuff. So if you're interested in that, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button so you know when I post videos. And like this video for me, please. Your interaction definitely helps. And leave a comment with your opinions. Just don't be a dick. But anyways, so today I am very excited to talk about one of my favorite horror movies. As we've wrapped up spooky season in this house, it is never going to be over for me. So today we're going to talk about The Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's go. So, I bet you didn't know, or maybe you did, know that The Nightmare on Elm Street was kind of based on like a real story, or inspired by one, at least, and a real human person. So, two different things there, but we'll get into it. So, Wes Craven is the creator of The Nightmare on Elm Street, along with many other movies, but I feel like one of the most iconic movies for spooky season is, like I said, The Nightmare on Elm Street. So the story that this movie was actually based off of does revolve around being killed in your sleep, but kind of unknowingly. So there was an article in the New York Times that the creator, Wes Craven, had discovered, and he read it. And this article described a family that escaped the Cambodia killing fields and came to the United States as refugees. And when they got here, the son was actually really afraid to go to sleep. And so he would tell his parents that, I can't go to sleep. There's something in my nightmares, and that's something or someone, and it's chasing me. And I'm convinced that it's going to kill me. So he would talk about this for days and did everything he could to not fall asleep because, like I said, he was just terrified to go to sleep and terrified of whatever this thing was that was, I don't know if you want to say like haunting him in his dreams. I don't, call it what you will. So he stayed up for days, and eventually, being so sleep deprived, he did fall asleep. And by the time he fell asleep, the parents were like, oh, this is great, it's finally over, he's finally getting some rest. Then they went to check on him a few hours later, I'm assuming, and he was no longer alive. So he had, passed in his sleep with truly no explanation. So later on, when they were looking into the cause of his death, they named it, I don't know if they named it after this, but I do know there were only 10 cases reported of this ever. And it's called Sudden Unexpected Nocturnal Death Syndrome. That's a mouthful, but I finally got it right without looking at the script. Sudden Unexpected Nocturnal Death Syndrome, or AKA SUNS. Like I said, there were only 10 cases of this ever happening, and it's essentially like cardiac arrest in your sleep, but with no explanation as to how it happened. I mean, maybe an extreme elevated heart rate from, your nightmares, and then on top of if it happened the same way with the other people, which I don't know, so don't quote me on that. But I don't know if these other people, the other 9 people that this happened to, were having similar nightmares or anything. All we know is what happened before this person, and then there is truly no explanation as to how this happens. So that's the story that ultimately created the baseline for The Nightmare on Elm Street, which in the movie, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, it's about this villain that follows 4 children. So he uses them when they're younger, and then the parents decide to kill him in the boiler room in their school, and then he comes back to life and continues to haunt these same 4 children, giving them nightmares where he can actually kill them in their sleep, and he ultimately does kill 3 of them. And that villain, of course, we know him as Freddy Krueger. And so that's the whole inspiration behind this whole thing. Now, The Nightmare on Elm Street I bet you didn't know why they picked Elm Street, did you? I mean, this is pretty simple, but it's interesting. They wanted it to feel really relatable to everybody, and again, really possible that this could happen to you. So they really tried to trigger that fear, going off of the fact that almost every city and every town has an Elm Street. So like that's simple. That's why they picked Elm Street, and I thought that was really like clever and fascinating because I didn't even think about it. But when I do talk to like my clients at work about horror movies, we'll get into these conversations, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, have you been to the Elm Street here? Oh yeah, there was an Elm Street in the place that I grew up in," and I'm sure there was even one in the place that I grew up in, and I just didn't even realize it. So. Yeah, I thought that was crazy and really interesting, and it totally makes sense because again, he wanted to trigger that fear that this could happen to anybody. One more little fun fact. This is such a short video, you guys, but hey, it's quick and easy and fun and interesting. But this last little fact about this movie is that Wes Craven had a bully when he was in grade school, and his name was Fred Krueger. So he decided to name this villain Freddy Krueger. And so it became the infamous Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. That's the story of Freddy Krueger and the Nightmare on Elm Street and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little Nightmare on Elm Street video. I will be back with more spooky stuff and all that, so just hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys very soon. Have a great day.